it's something that has helped me incredibly in my life.
Yeah.
And I've been a Scientologist for over 30 years,
Yeah.
and it's something that, as you know, without it, I wouldn't be where I am.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a beautiful religion, and I'm very proud.
So when people say Tom doesn't leave because they have information on him or John, that's not the reason. The amount of power they receive from this church is like nothing in Hollywood. It is like nothing.
Tom Cruise is known for his legendary action roles, jaw-dropping stunts, and close ties to the Church of Scientology. But behind the glamour of his luxurious lifestyle is a story that has left even federal agents stunned. According to shocking reports, the FBI recently removed an old floor from Cruise's sprawling mansion.
Hey, Tom. Hey, Katie. Hi.
How are you?
Oh, my God. May I just say, I have never seen anything like this. Oh, my God.
Only to discover something so unexpected that it turned their faces ghostly white. What exactly did the FBI discover? Was it something tied to Tom's connection with Scientology? Stay tuned, because what we're about to show you will blow your mind. Tom Cruise's connection with the FBI. Tom Cruise is a well-known member of a controversial church called the Church of Scientology. Now, this church, which was founded by science fiction writer L. Ron Hubbard in the early 1950s, has had a complex and often contentious relationship with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, also known as the FBI. This relationship has been characterized by many investigations, covert operations, and even legal battles that have spanned decades. As a member of this church, by association, Tom Cruise has also had to deal with the consequences of the church's relationship with the FBI. But how did this strange history between the church and the FBI start? Well, after the Church of Scientology was founded, at first, it seemed like just another new religion. But over time, it gained a reputation for being mysterious and controlling. People started asking questions about what really went on inside the church, and so did the government, especially the FBI. But the church didn't like being watched. They believed the government was out to destroy them. Instead of just ignoring it, they decided to fight back in a very extreme way.
And when he was doing his Scientology training and his counseling, he was required to do that counseling on another person that was relatively uncounseled in Scientology.
In the 1970s, the Church of Scientology launched something called Operation Snow White. This wasn't just a small protest or a letter-writing campaign. It was a full-blown plan to sneak into government offices and steal or destroy any records that made Scientology look bad. Church members actually got jobs in places like the Internal Revenue Service, also known as the IRS, the Justice Department, and other government agencies. Once inside, they stole thousands of secret files about Scientology and L. Ron Hubbard. They even bugged some offices with listening devices to listen in on what people were saying about the church. Their goal was simple: erase anything negative about Scientology from government records. Unfortunately for the church, the plan didn't stay secret for long. In 1977, the FBI raided Scientology offices in Los Angeles and Washington, D.C. It was one of the biggest raids in FBI history at the time, with over 100 agents involved. What they found was shocking. There were mountains of stolen government documents, fake identity cards, and detailed plans for how the church had infiltrated the government. Some of the papers even talked about setting people up for crimes they didn't commit, just to silence critics. The FBI was stunned. This wasn't just a church defending itself. It was an organized effort to break the law. After the raid, the government took action. 11 top Scientology leaders, including L. Ron Hubbard's wife, Mary Sue Hubbard, were arrested and found guilty of conspiracy and theft. Mary Sue was sentenced to 5 years in prison, though she didn't serve the full time. L. Ron Hubbard wasn't charged, but his name was all over the secret documents, and it became clear that he knew what was happening.
Scientology is at a crossroads in its history. If the church can learn to give up some of that control, in 100 years from now, it might be one of the great religions of the world.
Strangely enough, the church didn't just target the government, they went after individuals too. One of the most famous examples is Operation Freakout. a plan to ruin the life of a journalist named Paulette Cooper. Cooper had written a book called The Scandal of Scientology, exposing what she believed were the church's dark secrets. Scientology leaders were furious. They tried to frame her for crimes she didn't commit, including sending fake bomb threats to herself, all to make her look crazy or dangerous. The plan almost worked, but when the FBI raided Scientology's offices, they found documents that outlined the entire scheme. It was a terrifying example of how far the church would go to stop anyone who spoke out against them. Now, why did the Church of Scientology do all this? From the Church of Scientology's perspective, they believed they were at war. They thought the government and the media were working together to destroy their religion, so they felt justified in fighting back, even if it meant breaking the law. They saw themselves as protectors of their faith, willing to do anything to stop their enemies. But to the FBI, this wasn't about religion, it was about criminal activity, plain and simple. After the 1970s, the FBI kept a close eye on Scientology, though there hasn't been another raid like the one in 1977. In the 2000s, there were reports that the FBI was investigating claims of human trafficking within the church, involving allegations that some members were being forced to work against their will, but no charges came from that investigation. The Church of Scientology, on the other hand, insists they are victims of discrimination and government harassment. They claim the FBI and other agencies have always been unfair to them. Today, the relationship between the FBI and the Church of Scientology is still tense. The church continues to be secretive and defensive about its practices, while critics and former members push for more government investigations. This ongoing scrutiny has also drawn attention to high-profile members like Tom Cruise, whose deep connection to Scientology has greatly influenced his personal life in unimaginable ways. Stay tuned, because what we're about to reveal will blow your mind. The Church of Scientology's influence on Tom Cruise's personal life. Just like nearly all the other members of the Church of Scientology, Tom Cruise has had his personal life deeply influenced by his involvement with the Church of Scientology.
But off-screen, Cruise has devoted much of his power, influence and substantial wealth to the Church of Scientology. It's a controversial religious philosophy based on the teachings of L. Ron Hubbard.
This connection has affected his relationships, public image, and personal choices. In 1986, Tom Cruise was introduced to Scientology by his first wife, Mimi Rogers. She was a devoted member of the church and played a huge role in bringing Tom into the fold. Tom has credited Scientology with helping him overcome dyslexia, a learning disorder that affects reading. He has spoken publicly about how the church's teachings provided him with tools to improve his reading skills, which in turn boosted his confidence and acting career. Tom's marriages have been notably impacted by his commitment to Scientology. His second wife, Nicole Kidman, was initially involved with the church, but later distanced herself. Reports suggest that this distancing created tension in their marriage. Some former Scientologists have claimed that the church viewed Kidman as a potential threat to Tom's dedication. This alleged interference is believed to have contributed to their eventual divorce. Then, Tom got married for the third time. His third marriage to Katie Holmes also faced challenges related to Scientology. Holmes, initially intrigued by the church, reportedly became uncomfortable with its influence over their family life. Concerns about their daughter, Suri, being raised within Scientology's doctrines are believed to have been a factor in Holmes's decision to file for divorce. Following their split, Holmes sought sole custody of Suri, aiming to protect her from the church's influence. Since the divorce, Tom's relationship with Suri has been strained. Reports indicate that they have been estranged for over a decade, with Tom's deep involvement in Scientology cited as a contributing factor. Tom's ties to Scientology have also impacted his relationships with his children from his marriage to Nicole Kidman. Their two adopted children, Isabella and Connor, are both involved in the church. This shared religious commitment has reportedly kept them close to Tom. At the same time, Kidman, who is not a Scientologist, has a more distant relationship with them.
When Tom Cruise was married to Nicole Kidman, they adopted a son, Connor, and a daughter, Isabella. After the couple split, Cruise married Katie Holmes, and they had a daughter together, Suri. It has been reported that Cruise has distanced himself from Suri, as she is not a member of Scientology.
This dynamic shows how Scientology has played a role in affecting the familial bonds within Tom's life. Apart from his personal relationships, Scientology has influenced Tom's public actions and statements. In the early 2000s, he became an outspoken advocate for the church. One notable instance was his criticism of actress Brooke Shields for using antidepressants to treat postpartum depression. This stance aligns with Scientology's teachings, which are critical of psychiatry and certain medications. His comments brought up a lot of public debates about mental health treatment and the role of religious beliefs in medical advice. Tom's commitment to Scientology is also evident in his choice of residence. He owns a luxury penthouse in Clearwater, Florida, which is notably close to the church's headquarters. This proximity allows him to remain closely connected to the church's activities and leadership. The penthouse is part of a complex designed by a fellow Scientologist and includes amenities that cater to his interests. Living near the church's base shows the importance of Scientology in Tom's daily life. Now that we know how Tom's personal life is affected by the church, it's equally important that we talk about how his association with the Church of Scientology has impacted his professional legacy. Keep watching to find out how Tom Cruise's association with the Church of Scientology has affected his professional legacy. The Church of Scientology has been a big part of Tom Cruise's life for many years, so much so that it has affected his work in movies in many ways. In the early 2000s, Tom Cruise began talking a lot about Scientology. He wanted to share his positive experiences, but sometimes this caused problems. For example, in January 2004, he publicly stated that he thinks psychiatry should be outlawed. This sentiment aligns with Scientology's critical stance on psychiatry and certain medications. In 2005, Cruise openly criticized actress Brooke Shields for using the antidepressant Paxil to treat postpartum depression.
Memoir in 2005 in which she detailed her experience with postpartum depression, Tom took aim at Brooke's story, calling her use of antidepressants dangerous during an interview on The Today Show.
According to him, there is no such thing as a chemical imbalance, and labeling psychiatry as pseudoscience. Shields responded by suggesting that Cruise should stick to saving the world from aliens and let women who are experiencing postpartum depression decide what treatment options are best for them. This exchange led to a heated argument between Cruise and Matt Lauer on NBC's Today Show, which amplified the public's scrutiny against him even further. Cruise's outspoken views on psychiatry reportedly caused friction with industry peers. His anti-psychiatry stance allegedly led to a rift with director Steven Spielberg. Spielberg had mentioned a doctor friend who prescribed psychiatric medication, and shortly thereafter, the doctor's office was picketed by Scientologists, which had reportedly angered Spielberg. That's not all. Because Tom Cruise talked so much about Scientology, some movie studios became concerned. In 2006, a big movie company, Paramount Pictures, decided to end their contract with him. They felt his actions outside of movies were causing problems for their business. After these problems, Tom Cruise worked hard to change how people saw him. He became less outspoken about Scientology in public. Instead, he focused more on his movies. He took on roles that showed his strong acting skills and ability to do his own stunts. This helped people see him again as a dedicated actor. His work in movies like Mission Impossible showed his commitment to his craft. This helped improve his image and brought back fans who admired his dedication to acting. In recent years, Tom Cruise has continued to do well in his movie career. He keeps taking on challenging roles and doing his own stunts. This has impressed audiences and critics alike. His dedication to his work has helped people focus more on his movies and less on his personal beliefs. This shift has strengthened his professional legacy as a hard-working and talented actor. There is no doubt that Tom Cruise's association with the Church of Scientology has had a huge impact on his professional legacy. At times, it caused challenges and affected how people viewed him. Despite these challenges, Cruise has managed to maintain a successful career, continually adapting and reinventing his public persona. Well, its quantum machine was created to solve problems that supercomputers can't handle. But instead of the promised breakthrough, what happened left everyone completely disappointed. Google shut down the project without warning, but Ryan Montgomery, one of the ethical hackers who worked on the chip, has finally exposed everything.
Well, this past week, we saw a quantum leap that could rewrite computer history. Google's Willow chip is touted as not just another technology breakthrough, but an evolution in the way we solve some of the world's toughest challenges.
So what did Ryan find in the chip, and why did Google have no choice but to shut Willow down? Join us as we discuss the real reason behind Google's decision to kill the Willow chip. Mystery of Google Willow shutdown. The Willow chip is the most advanced quantum computer made by Google. It was a promise that quantum computing could handle the impossible, but instead of pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible, Willow brought something strange and unsettling. It all started as small glitches and errors that engineers ignored as minor. Google engineers agreed that it was normal for a quantum machine to experience the occasional issues. Sadly, the glitches did not stop. They grew more frequent, more aggressive, and more alarmingly, they began to look like something purposeful, like an attack. What engineers once discarded as minor glitches became an obvious pattern of trouble. Google called in teams of experts led by ethical hacker Ryan Montgomery. What they found will leave you completely speechless. But before we reveal all that, let's provide a clearer picture of the trouble the Willow chip encountered. You see, instead of data, Willow started to display ancient symbols, ones you might find in old books or dusty museums, things like the labyrinth designs of ancient cultures. We're talking about shapes that looked almost like the symbols of the Sumerians, the Mayans, or the Egyptians. But that wasn't the strangest part. The strangest part was that the patterns were repeating, again and again, like a code. At first, Google engineers didn't know what to make of it. They continued to assume it was an error, a faulty computation, or maybe even a side effect of the ultra-sensitive quantum systems. But the more they looked at it, the more they realized something didn't add up. These patterns became more structured and organized, and in some ways, seemed to grow each time they tried a fix. Now you are probably wondering whether all this is fictional. Well, that was how Google felt when it all began. As the project team scrambled to figure out what was happening, they called in specialists from all areas of science. Linguists were brought in to look at the symbols, similar to ancient writing. Cryptographers analyzed the patterns, hoping to find a code, but no one could give a logical explanation. However, theoretical physicists believed that the chip was tapping into an unknown, higher dimension of physics. More symbols, like the language of the old Mayan civilization, began to appear. The odd part was that the signs that appeared were thousands of years old. So why were they showing up on a machine that was supposed to solve next-generation math problems and perform calculations at the quantum level? How could this be? What was Willow trying to tell them? Some scientists say it was just a fluke that should pass over time. Quantum experts began considering a much more unsettling possibility. They believed the Willow chip had started to create its form of communication, something beyond our understanding, something that the rules of classical physics couldn't explain. This may sound like a stretch, but think about it briefly. Let us forget all the theories for a moment. The truth is that Willow had made a strange encounter, and what Google did next left everyone completely shocked. Google decided to shut the project down. No one knew why, not at first. No formal reasons were given, just a quiet decision to pull the plug on one of the most ambitious projects in the history of computing. People began to wonder why Google shut down a chip that was breaking records, a chip that could solve problems no one had even dreamed of before. But to find the answer, we must explain the true capabilities of the Willow quantum chip. Google Willow capabilities. The scientific world has always wanted computers more capable than our current supercomputers. The answer is quantum computing powered by chips such as the Google Willow. Quantum computers promise to change everything we thought we knew about computing. Let's break it down. For decades, computers had relied on bits. Bits are tiny ones and zeros that form the basis of all the information we see, process, and store. Everything known as computing has been built on this binary foundation. You use your laptop, phone, and digital device to run on bits, but here's the catch. Even the most powerful supercomputers in the world still rely on this simple two-option system, and there are limits to how much they can process before they hit a wall. Then came quantum computing. Information is not just stored in ones and zeros in a quantum computer. Instead, they are stored in quantum bits or qubits, and these qubits can do something incredible. They can exist in multiple states simultaneously. If you flip a coin, regular computers will see the coin as either a head or tail, a 1 or a 0, but the coin can simultaneously be both heads and tails in quantum computing. This concept is called superposition.
Quantum computers come in. They're based on electrons. And these electrons, how come they have so much computational power? Because they could be in two places at the same time.
You might wonder how that makes quantum computers so special. Superimposition allows quantum computers to process vast amounts of information simultaneously. According to experts, a quantum computer can solve problems that would take today's computers millions of years.
A normal computer would take years to do this, but a quantum computer can analyze the possibilities way faster. It can get it done in a matter of hours, and that makes its potential limitless.
It can crack them just under a fraction of the time. That is all.
Imagine that you've got a super tall closet, has 1 million drawers in it, and a sock is hidden in one of the drawers. On average, you're gonna have to open 500,000 drawers to find the sock. With a quantum computer, you'd only need to open 1,000 drawers on average to find the sock.
It will also help research and development efforts in cryptography, drug discovery, climate modeling, and more.
Finally gives us the opportunity to do simulations down at the level of atoms. And when you have that, you can design drugs at the level of atoms.
That's right.
You can design materials, batteries.
Before joining the quantum race, Google led the tech race with its search engine, Android, and more recently, the Gemini artificial intelligence model. The company has now poured billions into quantum research. Every tech expert understands that the next great leap in computing would not come from improving the old systems. The future belongs to those who can develop new kinds of machines altogether. Willow was Google's entry into that future. Before the launch of Google Willow, Google launched another quantum chip called Sycamore. Google shocked the tech world in 2019 when it announced that Sycamore had achieved quantum supremacy. To put that into context, quantum supremacy is the point at which a quantum computer can solve a problem that no classical computer could even begin to handle in a reasonable amount of time. Little did we know that Sycamore was just the beginning.
Google claims it has reached a key milestone, using a quantum computer to complete a task that a classical computer couldn't manage, achieving what they call quantum supremacy. This would be the first time that a quantum computer has definitively beaten the best conventional computer.
Consider Google Willow as an updated and more powerful sibling of the Sycamore. According to company sources, Google did not rely on the same techniques used for Sycamore. Willow was designed with a new set of innovations to solve some of the most important problems in quantum computing. But quantum computers have a very big problem. We are about to reveal why Google shut down Willow. You can't miss the next part for anything. The biggest problem of quantum computers is quantum error correction. Here is the catch. In ordinary supercomputers, errors are rare, and when they do happen, they're easy to fix. But in computing, errors are much more common and harder to correct. Because qubits are so sensitive to their surroundings, even the slightest disturbance can cause them to lose their quantum state. When this happens, scientists call it decoherence. When decoherence happens, quantum computers find it difficult to maintain accuracy, especially as they perform multiple calculations worth millions of years. Well, Google considered that while designing Willow. Believe it or not, Willow can handle errors more efficiently than any quantum chip before it because it relies on a new type of qubit called a transmon qubit. These qubits were designed to be more stable and less susceptible to interference from their environment. In practice, Willow can maintain coherence for longer periods and perform more accurate calculations, but stability alone is not enough in quantum computing. There is a need for scalability. Scalability means the chip must handle increasing numbers of qubits without losing performance. To achieve this, Google's team engineered Willow to work with thousands of qubits. The good news is that before Willow, scientists thought it was impossible to scale quantum chips. But Google wanted more than performance, and that is where troubles started. Let's get into the details of the problem. We have come to the most important part of the video. Stick around for the blowing revelation from the ethical hacker. Ethical hacker reveals why Google Willow shut down. As mentioned earlier, one of the ethical hackers that Google called in to investigate the anomaly with the Willow chip was Ryan Montgomery. Ryan admitted that he had spent years investigating cyber threats and computer system anomalies, but nothing compared to what he found inside Google's Willow chip. During the investigation, he had access to Willow's quantum architecture, where he found something far unsettling, a series of security flaws. According to him, the flaws were not mistakes. They were fundamental weaknesses buried in the very nature of quantum computing itself. Ryan found that quantum entanglement errors caused the glyphs. When qubits interacted unexpectedly, they created leakage points where data could be extracted without detection. Let's break it down. Willow wasn't just processing information, it was accidentally broadcasting it, and surprisingly, a skilled attacker wouldn't need to crack Willow's security. They could simply listen in and intercept data in its most fragile state. If quantum computers were this vulnerable, what would happen to every future system built on them? Financial institutions, government agencies, military operations, artificial intelligence models, and anything relying on quantum computing could be compromised before it reaches the public. As Ryan compiled his findings, he realized why Google had shut down the project so abruptly. The company had hoped to lead the quantum race, but the deeper they went, the more unstable and dangerous their creation became. Once they understood the scale of the risk, they had no choice but to pull the plug. They couldn't risk the possibility that bad actors would discover the same flaws Ryan found. Despite Ryan's explanations, there are still different versions of why Google shut down the Willow flying around. For instance, some sources claim that Google tried the concept of quantum entanglement on the Willow chip. Suppose you have two magic marbles. You place one in your hand and the other in a friend's hand, far away. Now these marbles are special. No matter how far apart they are, if you change the color of one marble, let's say it turns blue, the other marble will instantly change to blue, even though it's far from your friend. It's like some invisible thread connects them. No matter the distance, they always match. This strange connection is called entanglement in quantum mechanics. It's like the particles are talking to each other instantly, even across huge distances. Willow was designed to use entanglement in a way the world had never seen before. The result? A chip that processes information at speeds and accuracies that surpass anything previously achieved by humanity. This was the real promise of quantum computing. Not just faster speeds, but entirely new ways of processing and understanding data. The bad news is that a fatal issue came with this success. Willow is highly susceptible to errors, just like every other quantum chip. For example, let's talk about controlling the qubits that power these chips. It is an extremely difficult one because they're so sensitive. Any tiny fluctuation in temperature or electromagnetic interference can cause them to behave unpredictably. This is why quantum computers require supercooling to near absolute zero. Google has been facing this problem. To be honest, the Google engineering team has tried their best. They even built specialized equipment to keep the chip at the right temperature, but safety remains a critical problem despite their efforts. BYD's new water engine. The CEO of Chinese electric vehicle maker BYD, Wang Chuanfu,
the recipient of the Zayed Future Energy Prize 2014 Lifetime Achievement Award, is the unconventional Chairman Wang Chuanfu.
Has been a leading tech innovator and green energy advocate, having produced electric vehicles, solar panels, energy storage systems, and other green technology to support a sustainable future. The company is now pivoting to something that will blow your mind: a water-powered engine. Wang Chuanfu believes that a water-powered engine will drastically reduce global carbon emissions and promote a greener, more sustainable world like we've never seen before. How exactly will the BYD water engine work? According to keen industry observers, the BYD water engine doesn't run on water as you might think. Instead, It uses a process called hydrogen fuel cells to work. Here's how it happens. Using electricity, water is split into two parts, hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen is then used to power the engine, while oxygen goes into the air. This process of splitting water into hydrogen and oxygen is called electrolysis. So the water engine uses hydrogen from water to generate power, but it does not directly run on the water itself. Do you believe that Tom Cruise's association with the Church of Scientology could make him have issues with the FBI? Let us know in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the following video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.